Hey guys, this is Chidanand from Kratz Infotech NG and I welcome you to this short demo on Jenkins distributed build. Distributed build or Jenkins master agent kind of a setup. Now before I get into the demo part of it, let me spend a little bit of time trying to give you an overview or a background about why would somebody need to set up different agents when you have a very nice and powerful Jenkins server which is running on an Ubuntu box. Now, for those of you who know, Jenkins is nothing but a very popular continuous integration server, and the whole or main part of its job is to talk to various source code repositories, be it Git servers, GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, any of those Git servers or TFS servers or ClearCase, any server where your application source code is put in. Your applications may be written in various programming languages targeting various operating systems. But Jenkins is a server which will talk to these repositories, pull the source code out onto this box where Jenkins is running, and then build, compile, unit test it, and then maybe package it, bundle it, and put out onto some servers and run some more test cases on top of that and stuff like that. At the bare minimum, the Jenkins server is supposed to pull the source code and build and compile it. Now, since Jenkins in an organization may support too many applications, a wide range of applications which are targeting various platforms and which are written in various programming languages and have got various tool sets as a prerequisite. Now it's not possible for one Jenkins server to have all these set up on one box. In this picture that I put out here, say if I have my Jenkins master which is running on an Ubuntu box, I can pretty much pull any source code and then build it on this Ubuntu box as long as I have the tool sets to do it. Say if I need to pull out a source code which is written in C++ or VC++ or any of the Microsoft platforms. Now I can pull the source code onto my master, but when I try to compile that, I may run into some issues. It may not be a straightforward way. There may not be one straightforward way of compiling this application on my Ubuntu box. I would definitely need a Windows based box on which all the tool sets pertaining to Microsoft tools and whatever is the prerequisite for building my Windows application would exist. So it would be much more logical and simpler if I can just pull down this source code and then pretty much pass around this application or pass around this job to be run on a different box. Now similarly, if I have an application which is written in Mac OS or something that is written on a mainframe, it's always better if the master really, if he wants to also, many cases he may not be able to build these, he may not have the tool sets to build this application. So in all such scenarios, it is always recommended that a master would have a couple of agents that is running. A master is a pretty powerful stuff where all the UIs and everything is up and running here, but he can have some connections which some boxes based upon whatever is your requirement. I can have so many boxes or multiple boxes which have got some bandwidth to run a small uh, process, which in turn will take care of any job that is delegated from my master. All right. Also, the other part is like you don't really want your master to go down even for a minute, assuming that your organization is heavily dependent upon your Jenkins master. There's too much of dashboard set up here. There are too many jobs that is triggered. There are a lot of webhooks which can trigger at any time, and you would want your Jenkins to be master to be up and running all the time. You really don't want too many processing to happen on your Jenkins master. You're better off if you have multiple agents and then you have a nice way of delegation setup wherein the guys who are putting out the job onto your Jenkins know that these need not be run on master, or I will have a bunch of labels identified where I know that each of these label would comprise of multiple boxes which are available for me for my project where the jobs can be delegated. All right, now what I want to do in my demo is that in my case I have a Jenkins which is running on a Windows box. So what I want to do is I'll just show you how quickly and how easily I can bring up one more small agent. The agent doesn't need anything other than a JDK and connectivity between the agent wherever your agent server is running and the master. And of course, a few ports has to be opened up based upon what kind of a traffic that you want to establish between your master and agent. In case your agent is running on a Linux box, there is SSH way of um, making them talk. In Windows, or the most preferred approach is JNLP, which is nothing but a Java Network Launch Protocol, which will use one of the ports and establish a communication channel between your master and your agent. All right, now what I want to do quickly, recap. I have a master which is running on Windows box. I will open up an agent. I'll show you how to provision an agent and how to bring up an agent, and then put up a simple freestyle job which will be delegated to the agent. And then possibly I'll do the same exercise for a pipeline job. All right, let me then get started. Let me log into my Jenkins box. I'm running Jenkins on Windows. And before I start anything, I just want to ensure that Jenkins is interested or is in a mood or is configured in such a way that it can talk to agents. So let me go to Jenkins configure global security, and if you look at a section which talks about agents, by default this would be disabled. So this is all the secure by default kind of a mechanism. So by default Jenkins doesn't want to talk to any agents. Now what I want to do is I want to configure an agent. So definitely then I can set up a fixed port in case I want. There are protocols that you can specify and stuff like that. But what I want to do is I'm only interested in first, instead of it being disabled, I want to enable that, and let me choose a random port, and I would go ahead and save this. Now without this setup, Jenkins doesn't want to or would not be capable of communicating to any agent. All right, now manage Jenkins, and you have a section called manage nodes. So by default you have only one master node. Let me configure, let me provision a new node. Okay, I'm going to say new node. I want to give a node name for my new node. Let me call this as let's say Windows node. I'm on Windows box, but I don't have too many Windows boxes or Linux box. So what I want to do is configure another directory of my partition in my Windows in Windows drive, and call this as a separate node. So I'm going to call this as Windows node. I'm going to call it as a permanent agent, and description not required. I can always copy and paste this. Number of executors is a very important stuff. So for those of you who know, it means that at any time simultaneously how many jobs can be configured to run. All right, so I don't want to complicate this. Let me keep this one. And remote root directory, this is the directory on the remote machine where you would want your agent to run. All right, if it's a Linux box, it'll be typically something like this. But what I want to do is, as I said, I'm on Windows. So let me go ahead and create a folder in my E drive. My Jenkins is installed on my C drive. I would like to configure an agent which will be run from E drive of my machine. So in my E drive, let me create a folder. I will call this an agent. You can call it anything that you want. I'll call it an agent, and maybe I will run my agent from here. Now for the sake of clarity, you can always visualize this as being a separate box. Since I don't have the luxury of having one more Windows box, I'm kind of running it on my same box. So this is my remote root directory on my other box. Label is a very important thing. I'll keep the same name as my label. Alright, usage, use this node as much as possible. No, I don't want to do that. I will choose an option which says only build jobs with label expressions matching this node. Now this option you can visualize this way, where if I have lot of jobs which are on Mac OS, I'll probably name label all my Mac OS nodes as MAC Mac and something star or something like that. So that when I submit a job, I can always delegate all this to anything that starts with Mac. That's the way I can delegate all the jobs in a regular expression kind of way. So that is the option that I'm choosing here. build jobs only with label expressions that match this particular node, and the label I've set for my box is Windows underscore node. Launch method, I will use this option, launch agent, by connecting it to a master. Okay, that's all. Nothing else needs to be done. So I will just go ahead and save this. Keep this agent as much as possible. Yeah, that's pretty good enough. I'll just go ahead and save this. Now what has happened is it provisions a new agent for me, but it has got a little bit of a security into it, where you have told Jenkins master as to what kind of an agent that you would want, and you expect that agent to do a handshake by launching a small Java program which is bundled in a jar file. So if I click on this, it will show me what has to be done. Now this is the way in which an agent can configure or agent can connect to a server. So as I said initially, the agent may not need anything other than Java to be present on that box and a network connectivity. And here it shows localhost, but if at all you are running it on a proper server with some DNS name or a fully qualified DNS name, you would see the machine name or the IP address of that. As long as this machine is pingable from the place or from the agent, everything is fine. So let me first copy this whole thing, and I'll put this in a notepad. So this would be the instruction for me to launch my agent. All right, and also I would want this agent.jar. So let me copy this agent.jar, save link as. Okay, now where do I want to copy this? I want to copy this into my agent folder. Right, I want to save this here. In case you have a separate box, you'll have to copy this jar file into that agent folder in on the separate box. But as I said earlier, I do not have too many machines. I just have one machine, and I've copied this agent.jar into E drive and agent folder. Now let me open up a command prompt here. If I do a dir, I'll find this jar file. Now how do I launch my agent? The whole instruction to launch my agent is all here. And all that I said is that you need to have Java on your path. So Java, which is there on the path, that's good enough, right? I'll just paste this stuff. Java -jar agent.jar, and then the protocol, and localhost, because the agent and server in my case is both running on the same machine. So localhost, in case you have a proper machine with a fully qualified name in it or IP address, you'll find the IP address of this. Now, as long as I keep this particular stuff up and running, let me see first if everything goes well and if the agent is able to communicate and connect with the server. Okay, there you go. It's connected. As long as I have this up and running, the agent connection would be up. Okay, this is as good as my agent that is running. This is where my agent is working. All right, I don't need this now. Now let me go and check the status of the agent out here. Let me come back to my list, and if you see now, the agent is all connected, up and running. It gives some statistics about my agent. As simple as this to configure and bring up an agent. Now that my agent is up and running, let me put up a simple job now, but I would want to delegate this job to be run on my agent node. All right, so all the UI, the customer logging in or the users logging in, dashboards, everything is set up on my master only agent. You can visualize that as a very, very simple helper agent, which will only pick up jobs, and it only talks to your Jenkins server. Nobody can talk to it. There's no UI for your agent. So all the jobs has to be put up on my master only. But when I configure my job, I have to specify something that ensures that the master will delegate that job onto my agent. All right, so let me put up a new job here. I will put up a freestyle job. I will call this as agent job. I hope there's no job with that name. Yeah, I'll call this as I'll make it a freestyle project. Maybe I will just refer to one of my simple repositories and pull something from there and run a batch file. Yeah, maybe I'll look at this repository. I have a simple batch file here, hello.bat. I'll run this repository from by pulling it, and only thing is I will pull this onto my agent. All right, so get repository URL. This is the simple repository. I can even print a hello world kind of a thing, and it's all the same. All right, so what I want to run, I want to run as a part of my build, I want to execute a batch command, and the batch command I have is hello.bat. All right, if I specify a job just like this, I mean, this would pretty much run the whole job right here on my master. Now I would want to delegate this job onto my agent. Now, if you remember, when I specified the agent, I didn't ask the agent to run all kinds of jobs. I put out a configuration for my agent such that only jobs that match the label that is meant for the agent would only be delegated onto the agent server. All right. Now, if at all you look at the general section of my job, there's a small restrict where this project can be run. All right. If you click on this, you will know that this is an option that I have to use in order to restrict the project to be run on a specific agent. All right, it gives me a label expression kind of a thing. So I can just type in this and it will show me all the nodes that have this particular label. All right, so that's all that is there because I have only one node. It's called Windows node. So what I'm saying is I'm just putting up a job for Jenkins, which all the git and what has to be done as a part of the job. But in the general section, I'm specifying that this project has to be run where a label of a node which is supposed to run this matches this particular expression. All right, I save this job and I say build now. All right, now if you look at what is happening in the background, it is going to GitHub, and then most important, if you see the workspace of the agent, it is going to E and agent and workspace. Right, if at all, if you go to E and agent, this is the home directory of my agent. Now assuming that this was on a different server altogether, you'll find the workspace here and you have the agent job here. You get all the files here, and hello.batch will run as well, and you will find output, I mean master branch, something like this. All right, now you can visualize this from a perspective of this job has got some specifics on MS build or something for the Microsoft build, and this has been pushed on to and my Windows agent, and the job is completely run there. As long as the tool sets are in the path of that particular agent, it can reach to that, it can pretty much build that and give you the desired output. So that was as simple as putting up a freestyle job and delegating that to the agent. Now let me do that same thing using a pipeline syntax. Okay, I will say agent pipeline job. I will make this as a pipeline project. Say okay. All right. So this is a pipeline script, so I don't want to put some complex things in here because my whole idea is how do I in a pipeline syntax delegate this particular job to be run on the same agent, which is called Windows underscore node. Let me just print out some hello world kind of a thing. So if I run this, this is a simple syntax for running a hello world kind of a project. Now this doesn't have any GitHub repository pull and stuff like that, but this would suffice for us. All right, if you see this syntax here, it very clearly says agent any. In our case, agent any would not help. We specifically want an agent, and the agent name is Windows underscore node. So instead of this any, what I want to do is I want to replace this with a flower braces and label. Okay, let me just get the syntax of this. Jenkins pipeline. Yeah. Jenkins documentation is pretty good. You will find lots and lots of documentation about how to do this. Yeah, Jenkins agent. Oops. somewhere here. Let me just look at that. Pipeline syntax. Okay, label. Let me just copy this. This is all that is supposed to be done. All right. Oops. Okay, so pipeline, instead of agent being any, I'm just specifying that the agent should have a label and the label name should match Windows underscore node. Okay, now let me see. This is correct. This is correct. This is correct. Let me see. I mean, this should not be a problem, but let me just try this out. All right. Now, if everything goes well, this would be a pipeline kind of a job, and this pipeline job would be delegated to run on my E drive. That is where my agent is running. All right. So there you go. Okay. It goes into the E drive and agent. The assumption is that this pipeline job is delegated to that particular agent, which is matching the label expression that I specified. Thanks a lot for your time, guys. I hope you found this video informative. As usual, if you have any questions or something doesn't run for you, if you run into some issues, please leave a comment and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right, you guys have a great day.